Number one for me, life lesson is that ideas matter. Now people say, of course ideas matter. What kind of stupid life lesson is it that ideas matter? The truth of the matter is, this is both under and overappreciated. Most people think every idea is a good idea, as long as they had it. The truth of the matter is, not every idea is a good idea. Not every idea matters, and not every idea should be pursued. And if you're in a field like I am, or was, of innovation, not every idea is a good idea, even if it strikes you that way on first blush. In fact, most people are lucky to have one idea that really matters in their whole life. That's not a criticism, but earth-shattering, life-changing ideas are very few and far between. Research insights, investment insights, innovations. A good idea needs to be cherished and nurtured. I apologize in advance for the sports reference, but I would say get in the weight room of life. What do you do in the weight room? If you're an athlete or a kind of retired senior citizen like me, you prepare. You prepare. You build new capabilities. You get stronger. You get faster. You figure out how to get leverage. And yet in your business lives, those are precisely the right messages. One of the things that I think has made Microsoft the company that it is today is that we weren't afraid to get in the weight room. In the late 80s, we had plenty of customers, investors tell us we would, quote, never be an enterprise company. Today, many people think the bulk of the $350 billion of value in Microsoft is in our enterprise business. We weren't afraid to sit there even before we had it figured out and just work to prepare, to get better, to build new capabilities. And whether we're talking about what you need to do for your startup, for the hospital that you join, or for yourself personally, you have to build new capabilities, new quickness, and new leverage. There's a Latin expression which I think is great. I love it. It was in a now very old movie called The Dead Poets Society. But the line of the movie was carpe diem, seize the day. The opportunities are there, but you gotta reach out and pick them up. You've gotta grab at them. Some of you may have already done that at the U, in your classes, in other students that you met, in your extracurricular activities, but grab them. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because you know what you can do if you grab the wrong one? Drop it and pick up another one. It's okay. Seize the day. I think back of all of the luck, but also the times that were in front of me to seize the day. I don't know what got me to drop out of business school and come to Microsoft. My parents thought I was a whack job. Neither one of them graduated college, and they thought this was really a wild idea. I was lucky. I seized the day. Microsoft. One day, some guys fly in from IBM, and all of a sudden we figure out we could actually provide all the software they need for this thing that became the personal computer. People, Bill, Paul, they had the wisdom to seize the day when that opportunity presented itself. And yet when you think of all the opportunities, when I think back of all the opportunities I've had, the one that was most important was an opportunity I got in 1969. Sitting in my junior high school class, I was in a public junior high, not very stimulated at the time, and over the loudspeaker, they said that a private high school in our area that I'd never heard of was giving scholarship tests that weekend. I told my mother I wanted to take them. She said, that's fine as long as you get a scholarship, because we can't afford to send you there. But that's really where I got switched on. Switched on in math, switched on personally, energized in a way that never could be turned back. And I am very thankful for that opportunity. Yes, there's a lot of luck in opportunity, but there's a lot of seizing the day. And I encourage you all to reach out and carpe diem, really seize the opportunities that are in front of you. Optimism. Smart people love to be negative. It's my basic sort of summary of life. Smart people love to be critical, they love to be negative, they love to find fault, and you have to succeed. On the other hand, if you really want to be successful, you have to stay optimistic. Colin Powell, who ran the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the U.S., has written books on leadership, but he's got one line I love. Optimism is a force multiplier. Some of the folks I was sitting down with, I don't know what you call it, the other part of the union, some of the union members before we started, you know, we were talking about goofy YouTube speeches and videos that some of them had watched of me speaking. And why? I am optimistic, and leaders, whether they're optimistic or not, you better project it. Because if you're not leading with optimism, if you don't believe, nobody else is going to go your direction. Nobody's going to be with you. Nobody's going to follow. Nobody's really going to buy in. There is an advantage to being what I like to call now hardcore. Hardcore. I don't know quite how to describe it. It's a combination of tenacious and dedicated and passionate and committed. Something like that, hardcore. I learned about being hardcore from math concentrators at Harvard. I'm not going to ask whether we have any math concentrators here, but I would say that's where I got kind of my lesson. I mean, people could just go crazy, focused. And it wasn't just the people with genius, but working and working and working and working. You know, I'd sit in my room working on a problem set after 3 hours. I'm a little ADD. I just couldn't take it. The most hardcore people can power through anything. And the advantage of being that tenacious and dedicated and committed, I claim, helped us at Microsoft. It's fundamental at Microsoft, but I learned it here at Harvard. You really need to learn how to tell a story, particularly with MBAs. And when I say MBAs, I'm really speaking generally to the group, but I'm being parochial because I can't come up with a general expression for MBA tonight. But I do find that a lot of people coming out of school focus a lot on the what we should do and don't spend enough time learning how to tell the story of why their idea brings value to others. The number of storytellers in the world is very, very small. I don't know what exactly I will do next in my life. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have an idea. But I've been spending a lot of time in the weight room reading up on the U.S. government budget, healthcare costs, and debt. And I say that to people, and nobody knows what the heck I'm doing. I can't explain. I don't know. Earlier this week, I came up with a way to explain it. As CEO of Microsoft, I was responsible for signing on something called our 10Q. Every quarter, you had to publish it. And it had to tell a story of your company. You had to get up in front of analysts. I didn't do that very well, but nonetheless, I did it well. I just didn't do it very frequently. Nonetheless, you got out every quarter, you put out a statement. You explained yourself. You told the story. What's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not working. The U.S. government doesn't put out a quarterly statement. There's no regular story from our government about what's working and what's not working, where cost really is going and where it's not, what the president is trying to do. The State of the Union is a long list, and whether you like Republicans or Democrats, you still don't get a simple and succinct story. I started telling people this week I want to work from publicly available information on putting together a 10Q for the government. People said, oh, we get that. That's a story that you can start telling and people understand. You can have a brilliant idea for your startup. You've got to become a storyteller. Some of you will say, I'm not an expert at telling stories and telling yarns. You're not great public speakers. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a clear, simple, concise way to convey the value of the ideas that are in your head. I think it's one of the most underappreciated skills in business. It's one of the skills that we talk about we did talk about explicitly at Microsoft. And if I could wish you one new capability to go build, it would be the capability of storytelling.